I want to talk about sattva guna, and I want to talk about forgiveness. And I want to talk about an incident in which Prabhupada made a comment. Something very bad happened. And a devotee responded by doing something very bad. And I don't want to describe what happened. And I don't want to describe what the devotee did. Two illegal things happened, and the devotee responded to the one illegal thing with another illegal action, which was very tamasic. And that came back to Prabhupada. In a lecture, Prabhupada talked about this. He said, we have just got news that something very bad has happened. And then Prabhupada made his comment that even though something very bad happened, so-and-so should not have reacted that way. He reacted in a very tamasic way. And just recently, I received a letter from a devotee who was asking me to rectify a situation, and who said, if you don't, I am very angry, and if you don't, my anger will increase, and I will take actions against you. This is a devotee who chants 64 rounds a day. That's interesting, isn't it? So these are actions by devotees wearing dhoti, kurta, tilak, kantimala, or sari, choli, which are completely tamasic. And Prabhupada was asked, he said, is this devotional service? Is this a devotee? You know, they described these tamasic activities the devotees were doing, and they said to Prabhupada, are they still devotees? Is this devotional service? And Prabhupada's answer was, well, it depends how you define a devotee, which we can understand to mean there's a liberal definition and there's a more strict definition. And by strict definition, they're not devotees, even though they chant Hare Krishna, even though they chant 64 rounds a day. Full of anger, full of revenge, that's tamasic. Devotees are not tamasic people, they're sattvic people. We don't need more tamasic devotees. We need more sattvic, brahminical devotees. So, Prabhupada has spoken often about the need for Brahmins. Brahmins are going to change the world. The need for us to be Brahminical-like, eventually coming to the mode of goodness sooner than later. And in this way, we can purify ourselves and we can purify the world. Now, obviously, the goal is not to be situated in the sattva guna. But the problem is, and Prabhupada said this, is very interesting. You know, we think the world is overcome by passion and ignorance. Prabhupada said, there is no passion. It's all ignorance. He said, maybe a little passion. So we come from that tamasic culture, and it's very easy to fall back into that tamasic culture, especially when people disturb us, and we become revengeful, and we want to retaliate. We want to get back at them. And so remember the story when this devotee retaliated against someone who did something very bad to his wife. And he retaliated in not a sattvic way. Prabhupada was not condemning, was not condoning, Prabhupada was not condoning, what am I trying to say? Prabhupada condemned the behavior of the person who did something wrong to this man's wife. He wasn't justifying that. He wasn't saying it was okay. But he was saying the way this person dealt with it was wrong. It was, in Prabhupada's words, it was not to be done. Not even by someone who is not a devotee. And then this issue becomes more interesting when we start looking at actions that devotees do, which we can say, this was not to be done by anybody, not just the devotee. So that's something to think about when you're reacting to a situation and it wasn't really the best way to act. Ask yourself, was this even the right way for an ordinary person to react? What to speak of a devotee? So this is important. I know sometimes we want to react being impelled by the lower modes of nature, but that doesn't help anything or anybody. And we're trying to learn how to be sattvic in the way we react to this world. So the devotee writes me, I'm very angry, and if you don't do this, my anger is just going to increase, and I'm going to use it against you. and this devotee chants 64 rounds a day, something's wrong. Something's terribly wrong with that picture. And we need to be a little more self-reflective and just wake up and say, wait a minute, I'm chanting 64 rounds a day and I'm full of anger. Anger is the mode of ignorance. Something's wrong here. Something's wrong with your japa. Something's wrong somewhere. So if you find yourself in that situation where you're overcome by a lot of tamas, a lot of anger, a lot of revenge, or maybe a lot of arrogance, need to be recognized, and very hurt when you're not recognized, and other such things, be a little humble, a little reflective, and just deal with the fact that you're acting in a very tamasic way. And this is not what Krishna consciousness is all about. This is not what Prabhupada taught you to do. He taught you to act in a sattvic way. This is not to be done. That's the mantra.